Hi, everybody, and welcome back for another exciting week of Español. This week we'll be exploring Capítulo 4, titled ¿Dónde vives? Where do you live? In this chapter, you will learn how to describe your town or city, how to identify vocabulary related to locations in towns and cities, how to request information about the cost of things, how to utilize question words to ask for specific information, and how to create sentences using the verb ESTAR to describe someone or something's location. So that's kind of where we're going. Let's get started by taking a look at some of those vocab words that relate to cities and towns. So you can see a little city here with just things kind of placed all around. Over here to the left, you see el parque, the park, el centro comercial, the commercial center, we would say the mall. Here you see el teatro, the theater, la escuela, a school, and it looks like the school also has a piscina, a pool. La sinagoga, the synagogue. La plaza, exactly what it sounds like, a plaza. El museo, a museum. El banco, the bank. El correo, the post office. La iglesia, a church. El hotel, the hotel. El cine, a movie theater. La discoteca, a discotheque or a bar. El restaurante, a restaurant. La farmacia, a pharmacy. El supermercado, a supermarket. La tienda, a store, so on and so forth. You get all kinds of words here, and there's even more on this page. Gosh, like el aeropuerto, an airport, el bar, all kinds of stuff. El templo, la playa, la oficina, el negocio, tons of stuff here. So spend some time with your Quizlet, like you always do, and or your Quizlet, your flashcards and Mind Tap. Make sure that you are familiar with those and have a good understanding of that. I want you also to practice a little bit what you're learning here and tell if these things are cierto o falso. So number one says, en la playa compramos ropa. At the beach we buy clothes. Maybe you might go to a store or something, but generally speaking, on the beach itself, you don't buy clothes. So I'm putting falso there. Number two, en la discoteca miramos animales. So at the discotheque or at the bar, we look at animals. False, not generally true. Okay, I want you to pause your audio now and please give numbers 3 through 8 a try. When you're ready, you can unmute. All right, now that you've had a second to try, let's take a look. Number 3 tells us that nadamos en la piscina. We swim in the pool. That seems true. Number 4, miramos películas en el cine. We watch movies at the movie theater. That seems pretty true, cierto? Number 5, en el parque compramos medicinas. At the park, we buy medicine. Oh, I hope not. Falso. Falso. Number 6. Estudiamos y aprendemos en la tienda. We study and learn in the store. Falso. Estudiamos y aprendemos en la escuela o en la universidad. Número 7. En la plaza rezamos. We pray in the plaza. That could be true or false. I mean, you could pray in the plaza, but generally speaking, you do that like en la iglesia, o en el templo, en la mezquita, one of those. So falso here in this case. Number 8, vamos al aeropuerto para depositar dinero. We go to the airport in order to deposit money. Falso. Vamos al banco para depositar dinero. Okay, the big focus of this chapter, and this is probably one of the hardest things you're going to learn this semester, the big focus is stem changing verbs in Spanish. And you learned earlier in previous lectures about how to conjugate regular AR, ER, and IR verbs. We did AR verbs in Chapter 2 and ER and IR verbs in Chapter 3. Here we take that to the next level. So first, before we do that, I want to remind you just how these work. Remember the verb hablar. We're chopping off that AR and adding back O, as, a, amos, ais, and an. For comer, we're chopping off your ER and adding back O, es, e, amos, es, and en. And for an IR verb, we're chopping off the IR and adding back O, es, e, imos, is, en. You should feel pretty comfortable about those, or pretty comfortable with those after having spent some time in the past 3 chapters. With stem changing verbs, it's just slightly different. There are 4 types of verbs that stem change, four types of changes you're going to see. We see verbs that change from O to UE, verbs that change from E to IE, verbs that change from just E to I. And finally, there's one verb in the whole Spanish language that changes from U to UE. So I want to start talking to you today just about O to UE stem changers. Okay, we're going to start with those. So take the verb poder, for example. Poder means to be able to, and it's an O to UE stem change. If you were to conjugate poder, you can go through and carry poder all the way down in all the boxes. We're going to go ahead and change our O to a UE. This O only changes when it's inside of the boot. So you could take your picture or take a pencil here and draw a boot around these four boxes here. Okay, so this does not include the nosotros or the vosotros. Those are going to stay in O. It's still P-O-D there. Everywhere else it's P-U-E-D. Next, you're going to chop off your ER and add your appropriate ER endings, same as before. O, es, a, hemos, es, en. So you end up with the verb puedo, puedes, puede, podemos, podéis, pueden. Your O changed to a UE whenever it was inside the boot. And I've kind of drawn a little boot for you here. You can see it when it's inside the boot. When it's outside, it still stays an O. The O does not change to a UE except when it's inside the boot. Okay, here are some very common O to UE stem changing verbs that you'll see in the Spanish language. Costar, to cost, devolver, to return, encontrar, to find, llover, to rain, morir, to die, poder, to be able to, recordar, to remember, and soñar, to dream. I want to give you one to try now. This is the verb encontrar. I want you to practice on your own conjugating this verb. So I'm going to go ahead and let you pause, work it out, and when you're ready, you can unmute yourself or click play on the video. All right, let's take a look at this. So here you have encontrar. If I want to go through and conjugate encontrar, the first thing I'm going to do is carry down encontrar, first of all. Then I'm going to change my O to a UE everywhere when it's inside the boot, which is pretty much everywhere except for the nosotros and the vosotros. Next, I'm going to chop off my AR, and I'm going to go through and add my appropriate endings. So I get encuentro, encuentras, encuentra, encontramos, encontráis, and encuentran. Okay, those are your appropriate endings there for an AR verb. Those were normal, o, asa, amos, aisan, and you should end up with these verbs here. So you've conjugated to find in order to say I find, you find, he or she finds, etc. I want to make sure you got the hang of this. Let's do one more. This is the verb volver, which is to return. Go ahead and conjugate volver for me, por favor. All right, now that you've had a chance to try this, let's take a look. For volver, we are going to carry down our verb, change our O to a UE everywhere when it's inside the boot. Go ahead and chop off our ER, and now we're going to add our endings. Vuelvo, vuelves, vuelve, volvemos, volvéis, vuelven. All right, that's your ER verbs and stem changers from O to UE. Now, let's take a look here. This activity is titled Nuestros Sueños, our dreams. It tells you to completa el siguiente parágrafo con las formas necesarias del verbo soñar. So complete the following paragraph with the necessary forms of the verb soñar. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that soñar is a stem change from O to UE. As we take a look, it tells us here that todos tienen sueños para el año nuevo. Everybody has dreams for the upcoming year. Yo blank con un trabajo. So I'm dreaming of a job. To say that I'm dreaming, we're going to take the verb soñar. We're going to change our O to a UE, drop off the AR, and replace that with an O. So yo sueño con un trabajo. So I'm dreaming of a job. And my husband is dreaming of buying a new car. So to say that he's dreaming, mi esposo, we're going to take the verb soñar, change our O to a UE, and I'll go ahead and do that for you here. Change my O to a UE, and then in this case, I need to chop off my AR, and I'm replacing it back with an A. So mi esposo sueña con comprar un auto nuevo. He's dreaming of buying a new car. I'd like for you to take a moment, pause your audio, and give numbers 3 through 5 a quick try for me, please. When you're ready, you can unpause. All right, so let's take a look at these. Number 3, Nosotros también blank con comprar una casa nueva. So we're also dreaming of buying a new house. To say that we're dreaming, we're going to take the verb soñar, and notice it does not change from an O to a UE here because it's not inside the boot. This was the nosotros form. So I should get soñamos. Number 4, mis hermanos soñar con unas vacaciones en la playa. So my siblings are dreaming of a vacation at the beach. To say that they dream of, I'm going to take soñar, I'm going to change my O to a UE, chop off my AR, and I get sueñan. Sueña. And then it asks you, what are you dreaming of? ¿Y tú? ¿Con qué sueñas? What are you dreaming of? ¿Con qué sueñas? So notice, all of these change from an O to UE except for the nosotros, because it was not inside the boot. Okay? Hopefully, you're getting the hang of that. This next activity is called En busca de una persona, in search of a person that blah, blah, blah. And you need to go through and conjugate the verb in parentheses. So in number 1, we're in search of a person that normally sleeps for 8 hours. All of these are going to be conjugated to una persona, a person. So that would be using that bottom left box, your he, she box, it has been come to know. So in this case, dormir, go ahead and change your O to a UE, chop off your IR, and add back an E with an accent. So normalmente duerme 8 horas. This person normally sleeps 8 hours. That must be nice. Okay, I want you to take a moment and pause your audio and give numbers 2 through 8 a try. These are all O to UE stem changers, and they're all conjugated to una persona. Just a little more practice here. Okay, so these are the answers you should have. Vuelve, from volver. Almuerza, from almorzar. Juega, from the verb jugar. That was a U to UE stem changer, not an O to UE, but we'll talk about it more in a minute. Sueña, you've seen that one before. Puede, you've seen that one before. Devuelve, and encuentra. Should be UE. Encuentra. Okay? So, these are the answers you should have. Hopefully you're getting these correct. I want to talk to you about your next type of stem changer, which is an E to IE stem change. So we talked about O to UE before. This is E to IE. And these work in the same way. They're going to change everywhere they're inside the boot, and they're not going to change when they're outside of the boot. So, empezar means to begin. Empezar is an E to IE stem changer. It is the second E that changes in this case. You're never going to change the first letter, so you know it has to be this one. So go ahead, take empezar, change your E to an IE. It only changes when it's inside the boot. Chop off your AR. And after you've done so, go ahead and add your endings for an AR verb. O, as, a, amos, ais, an. And you should get empiezo, empiezas, empieza, empezamos, empezáis, and empiezan. Again, you see here this only changes when it's inside the boot. So we still have empezamos and empezáis, still with a regular E, not an IE. Some common E to IE stem changing verbs that you're going to see in this chapter are comenzar, to begin, nevar, to snow, empezar, also to begin, pensar, to think, encender, to turn on, perder, to lose, entender, to understand, and preferir, to prefer. I want you to try this verb as well. This is the verb querer, which means to want, and querer is indeed an E to IE stem changer. I want you to go ahead and give this one a try. All right, now you've got a second to try these. Let's take a look. With querer, my E changed to an IE, only when it was inside the boot. I chopped off my ER and I added back my regular endings, O, es, hemos, es, en, and I got quiero, quieres, quiere, queremos, queréis, and quieren. I have a short little video for you here that's going to help you with the pronunciation of this word. A lot of people look at it and they go quiero or quiero, or it should be quiero. Okay, I have a little video for you here. It's actually a Taco Bell commercial from a few years ago with the little Chihuahua who used the word quiero, and I want you to see it. So he said, Yo quiero Taco Bell. I want some Taco Bell. Yo quiero Taco Bell. So in this case, he used the verb querer in the yo form. Quiero, quiero. Another common E to IE stem changing verb is the verb pensar. Just to make sure you got this, I want you to try it one more time for me, okay? Go ahead and pause the video and work out pensar for me, another E to IE stem changer. All right, now that you've had a second to try, let's take a look. So pensar, we're going to go ahead and change our E to an IE everywhere that it's inside the boot. We're going to chop off our AR and add back our regular AR endings. O, as, a, amos, ais, and an. And you end up with pienso, piensas, piensa, pensamos, pensáis, and piensan. The verb pensar means to think or to plan in some cases. We're going to use this verb pensar in our next activity. So it's going to show you a picture. We're going to have a little throwback here to last chapter as well and make sure you understand your time in Spanish. So it tells you here, explica qué piensan hacer las personas, cuándo y dónde, y usa el verbo pensar. So, en el modelo aquí, el sujeto es mi hermana, my sister, mi hermana. You can see her here, mi hermana. And it tells you a time, 2:30. So you're going to say that my sister plans, and then whatever she's doing at whatever time. So my sister, mi hermana, piensa, this would be the he or she form of pensar, using a stem changer, my bottom left, she plans to leer un libro en el patio. She plans to read a book on the patio a las 2:30, at 2:30. That's what she's doing. Let's look at another example. Here, my subject is yo. It says it's 8 o'clock, and it looks like I'm drinking coffee there. So I want to use the verb pensar to say that I plan to drink coffee at 8 o'clock. So the yo form of pensar, if you look back, the yo form should be pienso. I'm going to say, yo pienso tomar un café, or yo pienso beber un café a las 8, at 8 o'clock, a las 8. All right. As we keep going, I want you to try just a couple more here. So in this one, you see a young lady. It says mi esposa, my wife, and it looks like she's preparing dinner. So I want you to take a moment and give this one a try, please. You can unpause when you're ready. Okay, so we know that mi esposa would be she. The pensar word to go with she in this case should be piensa. So we're going to say that mi esposa piensa preparar la comida a las 12. She plans to prepare the food at 12 o'clock, a las 12. One more for you to try. It looks like these are mis hijos, my children, and it shows 3:15 as their time. It looks like they are playing with a ball. So take a moment and give this one a try. All right, so you have mis hijos, my children, to say they plan. We're going to say piensan, they plan. In this case, they plan to play. Piensan jugar, and they're playing with a ball, jugar con una pelota, a las 3:15, or you could say a las 3:15. So hopefully that's a nice little throwback to time for you, and also including these stem changers. So that's good. Next, I want to talk to you about another type of stem changer, and these are your E to I stem changing verbs. So in this case, you have the verb repetir, which means to repeat. Repetir is an E to I stem changing verb, and it is the second E that changes. The first thing we're going to do, just like the others, is carry down our verb repetir in the box. We're going to change our E to an I everywhere that it's inside the boot. We're going to chop off our IR and add our appropriate endings for an IR verb, o, es, e, imos, is, in, and we end up with repito, repites, repite, repetimos, repetis, repiten. Some common IR verbs common E to I stem changing verbs that you're going to see in this chapter are repetir, competir, to compete, pedir, to ask for or to order, reír, to laugh, servir, to serve, and sonreír, to smile. I want to give you a chance to practice here, so if you would, please go ahead and pause your audio and give the verb servir a try for me. All right, now that you've had a second to try, let's take a look here. So with servir, we're going to go ahead and carry down our verb in the box. We're going to change our E to an I everywhere that it's in the boot. We're going to chop off our IR and add our appropriate endings. We should get sirvo, sirves, sirve, but then servimos, servis, and sirven. So just notice again, it's only changing when it's inside the boot here. One more E to I stem changing verb I'd like for you to try is the verb pedir, to order or to ask for. Please go ahead and pause your audio and practice conjugating pedir also. All right, now that you've had a second to try, let's take a look. With pedir, we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to change our E to an I all the way through in the boot. We're going to take our IR off and add our appropriate endings. I should get pido, pides, pide, pedimos, pedis, and piden. Notice the nosotros and the vosotros did not change because they're not in the boot. All right, hopefully you're feeling pretty good about those E to I stem changers. There's only one verb in the whole Spanish language that has the last type of stem changer we're going to be discussing in this class, and that is a U to UE stem change. The only verb in the whole Spanish language that has a U to UE stem change is the verb jugar, which means to play, as in to play a sport. To conjugate jugar, we're going to carry down our verb into our boxes. We're going to change our U to a UE everywhere that it's inside the boot. We're going to take off the AR and add our appropriate AR endings, o, as, a, amos, ais, an, and we get juego, juegas, juega, jugamos, jugais, and juegan. These are your U to UE stem changing verbs. Hopefully you're feeling better about your stem changers. Don't worry, you'll get lots of practice on these the next few weeks. The next grammar topic that is covered in this chapter that I'd like to discuss with you is el verbo estar, the verb estar. First, let's talk about how to conjugate estar. It's not all that irregular. We get estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, and están. These are our estar verbs. Really, it's not that irregular other than estoy is sort of irregular, but estás, you're taking off your AR, adding an AS, there's an accent on the A, está, estamos, estáis, están. It's not that bad, really. Estoy is the only weird one. And you've been saying this for a while. ¿Cómo estás? Oh, estoy bien, gracias. So you know this. We're going to combine the verb estar with some prepositions of location. And this is why this falls in like the city chapter, because you're going to maybe need to give people directions. So you can tell someone to go to the right, a la derecha, or that something is located to the right of something else. El correo es a la derecha del supermercado. So the post office is to the right of the supermarket, a la derecha de. Or you might have a la izquierda de, to the left of. Al lado de, next to or beside. Cerca de, near. Debajo de, below. Dentro de, inside of. Detrás de, behind. In, on, or at. They can really mean any of those three. Encima de, on top of. Enfrente de, in front of. Entre, between. Fuera de, outside of. Or lejos de, far from. I don't know about you, but that seems kind of hard, having to memorize all those words and know what they mean. It's kind of complicated. So I have a little song that's going to help you remember these. Rather than just making you memorize them, I think this will help you just a little bit. So I want you to listen here to this song. I think you'll recognize the tune.
Words of location style. Words of location style. Delante de, in front of, detrás de, behind. 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 Encima de, on top of, debajo de, underneath. 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 Al lado de is next to, al lado de is next to, al lado de is next to you. Al lado de is next to, al lado de is next to, al lado de is next to you. Al lado de, al lado de, al lado de. Words of location style. Words of location style. Aquí is here, allí is there. 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 Delante de in front of, detrás de behind. Encima de on top of, debajo de underneath. Al lado de is next to, aquí is here, allí is there. Al lado de is next to, aquí is here, allí is there. Delante de in front of, detrás de behind. Encima de on top of, debajo de underneath. Al lado de is next to, aquí is here, allí is there.
Okay, so I think you get the feel for how those work in Spanish. Those are important, and you are going to need to know those for some of our activities, such as these. It's going to give you a little picture, maybe on a quiz or a mind tap activity or an exam, and you're going to have to go through and just describe if these locations are accurate or not. So, for example, number 1 says, La farmacia está al lado del supermercado. So the pharmacy is next to the supermarket. Is that true or false? Well, here's pharmacy, here's supermarket. They look pretty next to each other. I'm going to say that's cierto. Okay, I want you to take a moment and looking at numbers 2 through 6, tell if these statements are cierto o falso based on what you just learned with your location words. Okay, now that you've had a second to try these, let's take a look. Number 2 says, El supermercado está a la derecha de la farmacia. So the supermarket is to the right of the pharmacy. Oh, falso, because el supermercado es a la izquierda de la farmacia. It's to the left of the pharmacy. Number 3, el auto rojo está detrás de la avenida. So the red car is behind the avenue. I struggled with this one when I was answering it. I don't know. This is the avenue right here, and the car is like behind it, so it's behind the avenue sign. I said that's true, cierto. Don't overthink that one. Number 4, el auto verde está debajo del auto rojo. So the green car is underneath the red car. I certainly hope not. It should be falso. Falso. Number 5, la farmacia está entre un edificio y un mercado. So the pharmacy is between a building and the supermarket. That's cierto. True. And number 6, varias personas están en la avenida. Various people are on the avenue. I think that's cierto. That's very cierto. Okay, you can see them all there. Okie doke. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to give you a chance to practice just plain old conjugating with ESTAR. So we're going to go back to these words we learned a second ago. Estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, and están. And you're going to be filling those in these blanks here. So for example, the model says Mario blank in Santiago. And you're using the verb estar to say that Mario está en Santiago. Number 1, we're saying yo blank in Lima. I'm in Peru, so the correct estar word to go here would be yo estoy en Lima. I want you to take just a moment and try numbers 2 through 8 to make sure you understand how to do these. When you're ready, you can unmute. Okay, let's take a look here. Number 2, we said that usted blank in San Jose. The correct estar word to go with usted should be está. Usted está en San Jose. Número 3, Gloria y yo blank in La Habana. Gloria y yo estamos, because Gloria and I would be we. The estar word to go with we should be estamos. Number 4, Joaquín y Héctor blank in San Juan. Joaquín y Héctor would be they. The estar word to go with they should be están. So Joaquín y Héctor están en San Juan. Number 5, Hugo blank in Caracas. So Hugo would be he. We're going to say Hugo está en Caracas. Same thing with the others. The correct estar word to go with tú in number 6 should be estás. With Cristina or she in number 7 would be está. And with los Gardel or they would be están. Están. All right, hopefully you're feeling better about your estar conjugations. One of the last things I want to talk to you about today, well, a couple more things, but really quickly, the other vocabulary segment for this chapter pertains to items in a home, rooms in a house, that kind of thing, and I just want to let you see some of these. Here in the picture you see lots of cool different things in this house, a rather large house. Something weird about Spanish that we don't do in the States, we would say like this is the first floor and this is the second floor. Like this is the first floor of the house, this is the second floor. That's what we would say in English. In Spanish though, we refer to this as la planta baja which is the ground floor literally, and this as the first floor, el primer piso. So kind of weird for some people, but just la planta baja is the ground floor, and this is el primer piso, the first floor. So be careful with those. On the ground floor, we have la cochera, a garage. Some people also call this el garaje. La cochera, either one works. Here it looks like we have la cocina, the kitchen, and inside of the cocina you can see el horno, the oven, la estufa, the stove, el refrigerador, the refrigerator, and el fregadero, the sink. We go from the cocina into el comedor, the dining room. In the comedor, you see la alfombra, there's a rug, and a mesa, table, and some sillas, chairs. There's also a lámpara here, a lamp or a chandelier. We go outside, and we're here in el patio, the patio, where you can see el jardín, the yard, or the garden, one might say. And then over from there, we see la sala, which is the living room. In la sala, you can see el sofá, a sofa, la mesita, a little end table, el sillón, an armchair, and el cuadro, a painting. Upstairs, we have here el dormitorio, the bedroom, where you see la cama, the bed, el armario, the closet, and la mesita de noche, a little table of night, or we would say a nightstand. From there, over here, it's weird to me that you have to go outside to get to the bathroom. That seems strange. Anyway, the bathroom is here, el baño. Inside of the baño, you have la bañera, the bathtub, la ducha, the shower, el inodoro, the toilet, el lavabo, the bathroom sink. Notice there's a difference. El lavabo is the bathroom sink, and el fregadero is the kitchen sink. Here you also see el espejo, the mirror. So these are just some vocabulary words related to the house. You have more words as well, like lavaplatos, dishwasher, electrodoméstico, an appliance, la cafetera, coffee maker, so on and so forth. Flores, cortinas, muebles, plantas. There's lots of other words here that are important, so please do study those with your flashcards. Make sure you know those. What I want to do now is give you a chance to practice more with ESTAR and some of those vocab words we just talked about. So it's going to give you a word, and you have to tell in what room of the house that item is located. So for example, in number 1, we're given el horno. And I'm going to tell you that el horno está en la cocina. It's located in the kitchen. That's generally where you find the oven. Number 2, we're talking about el sillón here. El sillón is an armchair, or you might say a recliner. Generally, you find armchairs and recliners in the living room. So I would say that el sillón está en la sala. Está en la sala. I want you to pause your audio, please, and give numbers 3 through 5 a quick try for me. Okay? All right, number 3 is referring to el lavabo, the bathroom sink. We would say that el lavabo está en el baño. It's located in the bathroom. Number 4, el lavaplatos, the plate washer, or we would say the dishwasher, is located in the kitchen. Está en la cocina. And el armario, the closet, typically está en el dormitorio. Generally, the closet is in the bedroom. There are other words for bedroom, depending on the country you're in. Some countries say habitación, others say cuarto. Dormitorio is the one I'm most familiar with, but all 3 of those work. Okay, and our final topic today relates to interrogative words, or what we refer to as question words in Spanish. And you can see several of them listed here. You have como, how, like como estás, cuándo, when, dónde, where, like dónde está el baño, a dónde, to where, like a dónde vas, de dónde, from where, like de dónde eres, where are you from, por qué, why, quién, who, qué, what, cuál, or which, cuáles, cuántos or cuántas, how many, and cuánto, how much, or just like cuánto cuesta. So, these are your interrogative words. Again, I have a little song to help you remember. My songs are corny, but they are helpful, hopefully. So take a moment and just listen to this song. I believe it's going to help you remember these.
to where? ¿Cuáles, which ones? ¿A qué hora? At what time vamos a comer? ¿A dónde to where? ¿Cuáles, which ones? ¿A qué hora? At what time vamos a comer? Hey, ¿por qué? Why? ¿Cuándo? When? ¿Qué? What? ¿Dónde? Where? ¿Cuánto? How much? ¿Cómo? How? ¿Quién? When? Who? Is there? Hey, ¿por qué? Why? ¿Cuándo? When? ¿Qué? What? ¿Dónde? Where? ¿Cuánto? How much? ¿Cómo? How? ¿Quién? When? Who? Is there? ¿A dónde? To where? ¿Cuáles? Which ones? ¿De quién? Of whom? ¿Con quién? With whom? Vamos a correr. ¿A dónde? To where? ¿Cuáles? Which ones? ¿De quién? Of whom? ¿Con quién? With whom? Vamos a correr. ¡Ey! ¿Por qué? Why? ¿Cuándo? When? ¿Qué? What? ¿Dónde? Where? ¿Cuánto? How much? ¿Cómo? How? ¿Quién? When? Who? Is there? Hey, ¿por qué? Why? ¿Cuándo? When? ¿Qué? What? ¿Dónde? Where? ¿Cuánto? How much? ¿Cómo? How? ¿Quién? When? Who? Is there? ¿A dónde? To where? ¿Cuáles? Which ones? ¿A qué hora? At what time vamos a comer? ¿A dónde? To where? ¿Cuáles? Which ones? ¿A qué hora? At what time vamos a comer? Hey, ¿por qué? Why? ¿Cuándo? When? ¿Qué? What? ¿Dónde? Where? ¿Cuánto? How much? ¿Cómo? How? ¿Quién? When? Who? Is there? Hey, ¿por qué? Why? ¿Cuándo? When? ¿Qué? What? ¿Dónde? Where? ¿Cuánto? How much? ¿Cómo? How? ¿Quién? When? Who? Is there? Hey!
Okay, I'm telling you, this makes a wonderful shower jam if you need help remembering these things. You will not regret it, okay? So, a couple more notes about these interrogative words, things you need to know. Generally, this is the structure you see. You see your interrogative word, you see your verb, and then you see your subject. Now remember, because the subject and the verb are usually inverted in questions, with the verb coming first and the subject coming second, unlike a regular sentence where your subject comes first and then your verb comes second. So here you see, ¿Cuál es tu casa? Which one is your house? Or ¿Dónde vives tú? Where do you live? So in this case, you generally see this structure. And you also see the little upside down question mark at the beginning as well. Don't forget those. Those are important. Okay. A lot of times you do see prepositions used with these. And just like you get scolded in English by your English teacher for putting a preposition at the end of a sentence, the same is true in Spanish. The preposition comes before the interrogative word generally. So here you see con quién, same thing. So, con quién vives? With whom do you live? Rather than who do you live with? With whom do you live? Quién and cuál must also agree in number and gender with the noun that follows. So, quién and cuál must agree in number, and cuánto and cuántos must agree in gender. So, for example, cuántos, how many, when we combined it with habitaciones, rooms, how many rooms does the house have? Since habitaciones was feminine plural, we had to change cuántos to cuántas to say how many rooms does it have. And then same thing down here. Quién, it changed in number to become quiénes, to ask quiénes son tus compañeros de cuarto? Who are your roommates? Since there was more than one roommate. Okay, so in this activity, you're going to be matching up a question with a plausible answer. So for example, number one, someone has asked, ¿Cómo es la casa? How is the house? And the most logical response here was letter D. Es pequeña, pero muy cómoda. It's small, but it's very comfy. Okay, so I want you to pause your audio and give this very last activity a try and see how you do, and we'll go over the correct answers. Okay, now that you've had a second to try, number two, ask us, ¿Cuántos baños hay? How many bathrooms are there? The most logical response here would be letter A, uno, only one. Number three, ¿Dónde está la casa? Where is the house? The most logical response here would be letter F, está en el centro. It is downtown. Number four, ¿Qué hay en la cocina? What's in the kitchen? And the most logical response here was hay una estufa Y un refrigerador. There was a stove and a refrigerator. And number five, ¿quién vive en la casa ahora? Who lives in the house now? The most logical response here was letter E. Una madre con sus dos hijos. A mom with her two children. And last one, number 6. ¿Por qué venden la casa? Why are they selling a house? And the best option here was letter C. Ella tiene un nuevo trabajo en otra ciudad. She has another job in another city. Okay, now that you have successfully completed chapter 4, you should be able to describe your town or city, identify vocabulary related to locations in towns and cities, create sentences using the verb ESTAR to describe something or someone's location, to request information about the cost of something, to utilize question words to ask for specific information, and to demonstrate understanding of stem changing verbs in Spanish. Guys, hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. Please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out if you're having trouble. I know the stem changers are hard, but they're like one of the most important things you will need as you go into Spanish 2. Everybody have a great day and take care. Thank you.